Welcome back to the Carmen estate. In the last video, I explored the mansion, its gardens, and uncovered the remarkable history of coffee in El Salvador. But that's only part of the story. Now it's time to step inside El Carmen Mill and follow the journey of a single coffee cherry, from the moment it's harvested to the moment it's ready for your cup. So, let's find out how one of El Salvador's oldest coffee mills transforms a simple bean into some of the finest coffee in the world. Before we begin, I want to express my heartfelt appreciation to some truly remarkable supporters. Carol, Laura, Terry, Karen, Bree, Victor, and Will. Your generosity, kindness, and steadfast encouragement bring these adventures to life, and I'm deeply grateful for your continued support. Last week's top comment goes to Ismail. Your words brought a huge smile to my face. I never imagined my work would be compared to Jack Nicholson, but I'll happily take that as one of the finest compliments I've ever received. To all who continue to share your thoughts, thank you. I read every comment, and they mean more than you know. Please keep them coming. I've started a channel membership. If you're interested, click subscribe and then join for more details. My wonderful tour guide today is Oscar. He's incredibly knowledgeable, easy to talk to, and clearly passionate about coffee. If you're ever here, I highly recommend taking this tour with him. The tour lasts a little over an hour and covers a lot of information. Since I knew next to nothing about coffee before arriving, some of it was definitely a lot to take in. So I'm going to give you the highlights. And if I happen to get anything wrong, it's certainly not because Oscar didn't explain it well. It's because I was still trying to wrap my head around everything. El Carmen Mill was founded in 1930 by Don Agustin Alfaro Moran. Today, it's still owned and operated by the fourth generation of the same family, and many of the original machines and traditional methods are still in use. It's a fascinating glimpse into how coffee has been processed for nearly a century. Before this tour, I had no idea coffee was so complicated. Let's start with colors that I actually don't get to see until the end of the tour. On the plant, green cherries are underripe and not ready to be harvested. The cherries El Carmen wants are bright red. They're fully ripe, naturally sweet, and produce the high-quality coffee used for specialty roasts. In fact, El Carmen only processes red cherries. Once the beans are roasted, they develop the familiar brown color we all recognize. I also learned there are 4 main coffee species: Arabica, Robusta, Liberica, and Excelsa. Here in El Salvador, Arabica is king. It's the only species grown commercially here because Salvadorans consider it the most flavorful and best suited to the country's growing conditions. Even within Arabica, there are many different varieties. Some of the ones you'll find here are Geisha, Bourbon, and Pacamada. They all have their own characteristics, from the size and shape of the beans to their flavor profiles, which is one of the reasons coffee can taste so different from one farm to another. El Carmen doesn't just process coffee from its own estate. They also process and export coffee for local farmers who either don't have the equipment or the resources to do it themselves. One thing Oscar emphasized is that every farmer's coffee is kept completely separate. Different farms grow different varieties and produce beans with unique characteristics, so they can't all be mixed together. Each farmer's coffee is processed individually and eventually bagged under that grower's name, which you can actually see through these windows. From here, Coffee is shipped all over the world, to the United States, Canada, Germany, Spain, Saudi Arabia, Japan, China, and many other countries. These large white numbered bins are where freshly harvested coffee cherries first arrive. The numbers help keep each farmer's coffee separate throughout the entire process. Water is added here, but not for the purpose of washing. Instead, it's used to help weigh and transport the cherries. The mixture of coffee and water is pulled through this large pipe and carried into the processing facility. Now we've passed through the gate and climbed to the top of the processing building. The coffee arriving from those white bins is brought up here, where the first major sorting takes place. The water helps separate the beans by weight. Heavier beans are considered higher quality, so those continue through the specialty coffee process. The lighter beans aren't wasted. They're simply sold for lower grade products like instant coffee. The heavier beans continue into this next stage. Coffee cherries actually have multiple layers, including 2 outer layers. The first layer is called the pulp, and the second is called the parchment. This machine removes only the first layer, the pulp. What's interesting is that there isn't just one machine for every bean. Different bean sizes require different cylinders. If you run a small bean through a machine designed for larger beans, it won't remove the pulp properly. Once the pulp is removed, the beans continue farther into the mill. Oscar also introduced me to something I'd never heard of before called mucilage. It's a sticky, naturally sweet layer between the pulp and the parchment. Remember that term, mucilage, because it'll come up again in a minute when we talk about honey coffee. From up here, you can really appreciate how much is happening throughout the facility. Outside are multiple drying patios in the distance, filled with different varieties of coffee. Geisha, bourbon, Pacamata, and others are all dried separately and in different areas, like some with more sun and others with more shade, because each variety responds a little differently during the drying process. Nothing gets mixed together. After the pulp is removed, Oscar points to where the beans travel through another series of channels where they're washed. For washed coffee, this is where the mucilage, that sticky, sugary layer, is removed. The washing process can take a day or even longer before the beans are ready to dry. But remember when I told you to keep honey coffee in mind? For honey coffee, the mucilage isn't washed away. Instead, the beans are dried with that sticky fruit layer still attached, which contributes additional sweetness and complexity to the finished coffee. Now we're back on solid ground and outside where the washed coffee dries naturally in the sun. The beans aren't just left alone. workers rake them every 30 minutes to an hour so they dry evenly, which means this operation runs around the clock. Depending on the weather and conditions, natural drying takes anywhere from 2 weeks to a full month. Oscar made it look incredibly easy when he demonstrated how to rake the beans. Then, he handed me the rake. Let's just say my rows didn't look quite as professional as his. Oh, it's heavy. Oh my God.
Yes, slippery, right?
Okay, I'm doing it too hard. It looks like peanuts.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like I'm messing it up because it's like all these little rows.
See? Yes, come back. Okay, only by push.
This is such hard work.
Yes,
Oh my God,
okay, it's
so
okay.
much heavier than it looks.
Yes, it's okay, no problem. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Ah!
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Oh my God. And I ruined it. It's not even in rows anymore.
Yeah.
Oscar took a moment to attempt to fix what I destroyed. The beans beneath these burlap covers have already finished drying. At this point, the pulp and mucilage are gone, but the parchment, that second outer layer, is still intact. You'll notice every farmer's coffee remains carefully separated and labeled. Everything is raked in neat rows. And these darker beans drying all the way in the back, these were grown right here at El Carmen Estate. Many of the other beans resembled peanuts in shape and color, but these are dark, like cherries. This area houses 2 original boilers that date back to the early years of the mill. They're only used when coffee has to be dried quickly, and there isn't enough time for the slower, natural drying process. If the coffee dries naturally outside, this entire step is skipped. I thought it was interesting that whenever these original machines break, the family chooses to repair them rather than replace them. They believe these historic machines help produce the consistency and quality they've become known for. The boiler in front is still operational today. This one in the back isn't currently working because finding affordable replacement parts for a machine that's nearly a century old isn't exactly easy. Coffee dried in the boiler moves through this large silver tube into the adjacent building. Here, additional drying equipment imported from Scotland and England finishes the process. As previously stated, natural drying outside can take anywhere from 2 weeks to a month. Using these machines reduces that to about 2 days. It's much faster, but also much more expensive. Outside drying is preferred, and El Carmen reserves this process for emergencies. This is the export building. The first machine removes the parchment, the bean's second outer layer. Next, the beans pass through a sizing machine that shakes them through different screens. At this point, the flavor is the same regardless of size, but larger beans are generally considered more aesthetically pleasing, so only those continue. Then they go through another machine that separates them by weight once again. Only the heaviest beans move on. Here comes the most fascinating part of the process. In this room, workers inspect every single bean individually by color. Oscar explained that only women work in this section. The belief is that women are better at detecting subtle color differences and spotting imperfections. A reference chart shows every defect they're looking for as the conveyor slowly carries the beans past them. Once the inspection is complete, the beans travel through another pipe into the packaging area. Here, they're weighed into 150-pound sacks. They must be exactly 150 pounds. El Carmen even manufactures its own export bags. Each sack is labeled with El Salvador, the factory name, lot number, and eventually a departure number before shipment. The reverse side includes the weight, packaging date, expiration date, and detailed information about the coffee inside. This is the storage room. Normally, this warehouse is packed from floor to ceiling with 150-pound sacks of coffee. Today, it's surprisingly empty because a major shipment has just left. The coffee doesn't get exported immediately. It rests here for a minimum of 2 months and can remain in storage for up to a year. According to Oscar, the sweet spot for the best coffee is about 6 to 8 months. This is where the coffee finally starts looking and smelling like the coffee we know, the roasting and grinding room. The first machine is the roaster. It can roast up to 250 pounds of coffee at a time. As the beans roast, the drum constantly tumbles them so they heat evenly. The temperature stays the same, 302 degrees Fahrenheit. The difference between a light, medium, and dark roast isn't the temperature. It's simply how long the beans stay in the roaster. Medium roast is the most popular and takes about 25 minutes. Light roast spends less time in the machine, while dark roast stays in longer. Once the beans are finished roasting, they're emptied into this cooling bin where they're raked for about 10 to 15 minutes. That helps cool them evenly and stops the roasting process. From there, the beans are either packaged whole or sent to the next machine to be ground. This machine is the grinder. The roasted beans are pulled into the machine through a tube and ground to the desired consistency before packaging. If you've ever wondered why different coffees taste so different, the roast level plays a huge role. Light roasts are denser and more acidic, often with fruity or even tea-like flavors. Dark roasts are much bolder, smokier, and slightly bitter with a heavier body. Medium roasts fall right in the middle, offering a balanced, smooth, and naturally sweet flavor, which explains why they're the most popular. Oscar also explains something I had seen on coffee bags for years but never really understood: high grown. High grown simply means the coffee was cultivated at higher elevations, usually between 3,000 and 4,000 feet above sea level. El Carmen sits at nearly 4,500 feet, which actually places it in an even higher category called strictly high grown, or SHG. Because the coffee cherries mature more slowly at higher elevations, the beans become denser, resulting in richer, more complex flavors. Coffee grown below about 3,000 feet is classified as Central Standard. Since the cherries mature faster, the beans are softer and less dense, making them more common in everyday commercial coffee blends. In fact, Central Standard coffee can be blended with strictly high-grown coffee to create coffee that's simply labeled high-grown. Finally, we get to the best part, the finished product. El Carmen offers several different varieties and processing styles, including geisha, pacamata, anaerobic, natural, honey, gourmet, premium, and classico. Each one has its own personality and flavor profile. Geisha is considered one of the finest and most expensive coffees in the world. It's light and elegant, with floral aromas, tea-like qualities, and bright tropical fruit flavors. Pacamata is almost the opposite. It's full-bodied, rich, and incredibly aromatic with notes of tropical fruit, green apple, chocolate, and a wonderfully creamy finish. Anaerobic coffee is fermented without oxygen, creating a bold wine-like flavor with syrupy sweetness and notes of pineapple, berries, and even rum. Natural creates a bold, fruit-forward coffee that's naturally sweet with flavors of berries and tropical fruit. Honey coffee, where the sticky, sugary mucilage is left on the bean while it dries, gives the coffee a creamy body with notes of caramel. Gourmet coffee offers bold, robust flavors with rich chocolate notes and hints of warm spice. Premium coffee is smooth and balanced, allowing natural citrus, berry, and floral flavors to shine through. Classico is a mellow, chocolatey, easy drinking coffee that's perfect for an everyday cup. What do you think is the legacy of coffee in El Salvador? Let me know in the comments. While you're at it, please click the like button. It helps, more than you know. And just like that, the tour was over, which means it was finally time for the coffee tasting. The moment everyone else looks forward to, but I had been trying to avoid. You know me. You know I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm here for the history. But sometimes you have to suffer a little for your audience. Today, I'm taking one for the team.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I never seen that. I'm not sure. It's probably, but I'm not sure. But it's probably
You've
not.
heard that it's haunted.
No, I never listen.
Okay.
Yeah, never listen.
But people have said that it's
No,
haunted.
people when they say it's okay, they don't listen some different. Nothing. But I never.
I'm going to be the only one in that house tonight.
See?
It's just me in that house.
Yes.
There's nobody else in there.
No, only the people in church. Only the women, the women here. You and the women.
Okay. Well, all right. As long as I'm not in there by myself. Okay.
Yeah. But this is good because it's only for you, no more people.
No, just as long as I'm not in there just by myself, I'm okay. No, I was worried I was in there all alone all night. Okay. Like it was like a locked in situation.
Yeah. No.
Okay. All right. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good now.
But if you have some problems, you can send me mail.
Okay.
You can send me text.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, would you mind sending me those videos that you
Yes.
have? Yeah,
that's
I'd love
right.
to have those.
Okay, yes. I have more videos.
Okay.
I send all videos, and if you want, you can use for your study. The problem. Yes.
Perfect. This place is so beautiful.
Yes. Here.
Like, I'm so jealous you get to work here.
Yeah, of course.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Yes. Then this area, the owner went for social events, weddings.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
marriage.
Perfect place for that.
Yes. Please take a seat. Is okay?
Yeah.
Sí, okay. We use boiled water,
Okay.
and I clean in the filter with boiled water. And preheat this clay pot. This is important for preparing coffee because this material not change the flavor. With other material like plastic, the flavors are different. I clean in the filter and preheat this clay pot. And we're drinking gourmet. Gourmet is high quality. Strictly high ground is medium ground and medium medium roast and medium ground.
Okay.
Medium is okay for you?
Yeah, sure.
Ah, yes, I forget it.
I don't like coffee, so
Yeah, but medium is good taste.
Okay.
Yeah, we're drinking a good coffee, and it's not strong but not light. Okay, I pour the water. Now it's hot. This clay pot, and I pour the water. And look the water. The water now is clear. Then we wait for a few seconds. This method working by gravity. It's like a drip, it's like a pour over. But in El Salvador we call chorreador. Chorreador is an artisanal and traditional method to preparing coffee. It is not common in El Salvador. The most common is the clay pot. Now it's ready to pour more water because the water is dark. I put in water and wait again. Put in water and wait again.
Okay.
Because this process is like a drip. See?
Okay.
I know you don't drink coffee, but what do you think now about the coffee?
I have a lot more respect for it than I did before.
Mm-hmm.
I like the smell of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just have never enjoyed the taste. Like, I
Ah,
have
okay.
to put a lot of sugar in it to be able to drink it.
Oh, okay.
So,
How many spoons?
like so many. Yeah,
Four.
it's basically sugar. It's more sugar than it is coffee,
It's coffee.
by the time I'm done with it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now here we have sugar, but if you want, you can try to taste.
I will try to taste it without sugar.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll try it.
Yes. In El Salvador, it's common drinking with sugar or milk. Here it's common. For example, we're drinking all time in the morning, afternoon, and in the evening. We can drink it in the evening because the culture in El Salvador is grow up drinking coffee. For example, I don't remember my first time drinking coffee.
Are people shooting something? What?
Here is a firework.
Oh, okay.
They have celebration.
Okay.
Yeah, try. But this coffee is not strong. It's
No,
for
it
me.
smells good. I like the
Yes.
smell. I just have always despised the taste. But we're gonna do this.
Yes.
We're gonna do it. Okay. It's very fruity.
Yes, fruity. is acidic.
It doesn't suck.
Yeah. If you want, we have sugar. If you want.
No sugar.
Yeah, because it's not strong. It's maybe light. For me, it's light for me.
Okay. It will never be my favorite thing in the world to drink, but it's not bad.
Yes. It's not bad. Yeah, thank you. It's good, right?
It does not suck. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are quite a few of these little creatures running around the property. Every time I hear something rustling in the bushes, it's either a lizard or one of these little guys. The staff calls them cotusas, which is the Salvadoran name for the Central American agouti, a medium-sized rodent that's actually more closely related to the guinea pig than a rat. They come in colors ranging from reddish brown to dark brown, and while they're known to be friendly, they're also incredibly shy. Oscar told me that the staff here has earned their trust over the years by feeding them tortillas. Now we're headed to the gift shop where I get to pick out coffee for all the people I love, because absolutely none of it is coming home for me. The tour may be over, but my time at El Carmen Estate isn't. Stay curious, be inspired, find freedom, wander elsewhere. I'll see you in the next one, where I'll spend the night in this beautiful century-old mansion.